Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 2nd January 2017. The news items picked up from the Hindu are these 7. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, loans to be cheaper as SBI slashes rate. So this is the MCLR rate, marginal cost of funds based lending rate. So this lending rate is fixed for a year, and presently State Bank of India, the country's largest public sector bank, has reduced marginal cost of funding lending rate by 90 basis points. So 100 basis points means 1%. So by 90 basis points it has been reduced. So this reduction in this rate will be reflected in the interest rates all across various loans which are provided by SBI for housing sector, for cars. All those rates would also simultaneously be reduced. So that is the link between MCLR and all interest rates which are charged by the banks. So this MCLR system has been initiated on the basis of RBI directive in December 2015. So this is given the new rules which came up. So now the freedom of banks in deciding the interest rates has been changed to an extent, because earlier it was done based on base rate, and this base rate could be modified by the banks, individual banks, at any point they wanted. Presently too, this MCLR rate will be different for different banks, and they will decide on a yearly basis what will be this MCLR rate. So this MCLR rate has to be fixed for a year. So in this marginal cost of lending, funding based lending rate, this also includes various parameters which ensures that the repo rate reduction which the RBI does is reflected in MCLR as well. So that is ensured. This is how RBI is making sure that when they do the rate cuts, so banking rates, repo rates, reverse repo rates, that cut is actually cuts in the interest rates which banks have to pay to RBI. So when RBI is reducing these rates, it is expected the banks also reduce their interest rates which they are charging from the customers to whom they are providing loans. So to ensure this system has been initiated, MCLR. So that is the basic idea. So banks have initiated this with effect from the financial year 2016, 1st April 2016. It has replaced the base rate system now. So this is about SBI. Other banks have also modified. As you can see, Union Bank of India has also reduced its MCLR rate. IDBI Bank has reduced its MCLR rate. So this is how it is functioning. So now all the banks finally, as it is on an annual basis, all the banks have made the new MCLR effective from 1st Jan 2017. So what is this MCLR, marginal cost? So in economy, what does the term marginal cost mean? You can understand this through this, that it is the cost of one extra unit which needs to be produced. What is the total cost as such is, like, for example, is given of X units. If X units are produced at the cost of $300, then one extra unit which has to be produced. So for producing X plus 1 units, cost is $320. So what is the marginal cost here? That is the additional cost for that 1 unit is $20. So that is called marginal cost. So now marginal cost of funding based lending rate. So this has been initiated, replacing the base rate. So what is this? It reflects the cost of funds for a particular tenure. So presently it's for a year. So banks will have 1 year fixed rate, that what will be the cost of funding for them, taking into account all the requirements, inputs which are there with the bank. So what are the costs which the bank has to incur? So that will give a clear idea of on the what basis the interest rates are fixed. So this is the basic idea. The next news item is Rushikulya Rookery welcomes olive ridley turtles. So olive ridley turtles come for nesting, for laying their eggs on the coast, the eastern coast of India, majorly in Odisha and Andhra region. So here the olive ridley turtles have come for nesting in Rushikulya Rookery. So if you look at Odisha coast, here in Ganjam district, Rushikulya Rookery lies here. So this is the Rushikulya river up here. The major rivers you can see, Mahanadi, Brahmani, then even Bhubabalanga, Subarnarekha. These are the major rivers in Odisha. So here all these regions are where these olive ridley turtles nest. So in Rushikulya Rookeries too, presently we are seeing nesting by these olive ridley turtles. The female species come to the beach, they lay their eggs, they basically bury their eggs in the soil. shallow burrowing, and then after that they allow it to hatch. Even the government of India, the forest department, is undertaking initiatives to make sure that these nesting sites are not disturbed by humans. Even the artificial hatcheries have been developed to make sure that all these eggs hatch and the turtles are allowed to reproduce. So these initiatives are being taken by the government. So only the female comes to the beach for laying the eggs. So this mass nesting which is seen here, you can see down here. This is the mass nesting during this season. The olive ridley turtles come up. Even there are restrictions put on fishing to make sure that the olive ridley turtles are not disturbed. Presently, this species is vulnerable on IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. IUCN list categorizes species based on their vulnerability or extinction threats which they face. So they are categorized as vulnerable presently. Then the next news item is petrol, diesel and LPG to cost more. So petrol prices have increased by 1.29 a litre, diesel by 97 paise. So of course rates increase are taking place. This is the third increase in petrol prices in 1 month. So this is because internationally too prices have increased. Aviation turbine fuel, ATF prices have been hiked drastically. Even LPG rates have increased drastically. The government has undertaken initiatives to increase LPG rates. They have said they will increase it by ₹2 per month to reduce the subsidy burden which the government has for LPG. The next news item is panel to use mobile apps to track Punjab polls. So Election Commission has introduced mobile apps which can be used to monitor law and order situation during the elections. So all these maintaining law order, streamlining the functioning of all the polls and the polling officers, monitoring any criminal activity. For all such purposes, apps have been developed and they will be used presently by the Election Commission in the Punjab Assembly elections, which will take place in some time now. So this will enable poll officials to even feed real-time information and data on polling in these apps, and then even complaints can be received by Election Commission through this. And these apps will be visible only to the Election Commission and officials who have been designated for this purpose. So this is even using technology. So even the officers, Election Commission officers are being trained in this technology applications so that they can bring in technology and ease the process of elections. So this is one initiative taken, which will be taken presently. And the next news item is rupees 5.5 lakh for each POK refugees. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced that a compensation package would be provided to all Hindu refugees from POK who have crossed across LOC and entered into India. So spurts of these refugees from POK came to India in 1947 when Pakistan invaded Jammu and Kashmir and took over the territory up to the line of control. Then in 1965 during India-Pakistan war, and even during 1971 during the second India-Pakistan war when Bangladesh was also formed. So at this time many Hindu refugees entered into India facing persecution. So these around 36,000 Hindu refugees who are there presently in Jammu and Kashmir will be provided 5.5 lakh rupees per refugee in their bank account. So this transfer would be done. This has been announced by the central government, and presently the center has announced that it will deposit 2,000 crores for these transfers. Even the state government, Mehbooba Mufti government, has been asked to contribute for this as well because it was falling a little short. So 1.2 crores has been given by the state government as well. So then finally the package comes to 5.5 lakh per refugees. So this is the announcement presently. Also there are demands by West Pakistan refugees who are from not POK region but beyond into Pakistan territory. West Pakistan refugees have also crossed across and come over to India. They are also demanding a similar package. So no such package has been announced for them. Even many of them are also Hindus. Mostly they are Hindus. There are some Muslims as well. So these are 19,000 West Pakistan refugees who are there in India, in Jammu and Kashmir. The state government is presently providing these West Pakistan refugees with domicile certificates that they are staying in Jammu and Kashmir. This is also not being acceptable, and the Kashmir Valley is seeing violent protests against this initiative by the state government. So these West Pakistan refugees do not have any voting rights. They do not have any financial package also announced for them, but only domicile certificates presently are being handed over to them. So this is what's going on presently. Then the next news item is Turkey launches manhunt after club massacre. So this is during the New Year celebration. Arena nightclub in Turkey was the site of violent terror when a gunman went on rampage and 39 people, including many foreigners, were killed. So it was indiscriminate firing and the gunman has even escaped. So this is what has taken place in Turkey on New Year's Eve, and Turkey has been the site of many violent attacks, terrorist attacks too this year. So it has been a difficult year for Turkey, and majorly they are being blamed on the Kurdish militants and the jihadists. So even Turkey is involved in the war in Syria. So in the civil war too, Turkey is an important player there. Kurdish rebels are also important players in that whole mess in Syria, because of which Turkey is also involved, because this PKK rebel group, Kurdish rebel party, is the one which Turkey targets, and a faction of it which has even rebelled, and a radical offshoot of this PKK rebel group is the one which has indulged in various attacks this year in Turkey and in Istanbul. So this is Kurdistan Freedom Falcons. It's called TAK. So this TAK is a radical offshoot of PKK party, the Kurdish party, and this had killed around 44 people in December 2016, just few days back, in Istanbul, when a football match was the place where double bombing took place in Istanbul. Then in December 2016, again we saw a few days earlier that the Russian ambassador to Turkey was killed by an off-duty policeman. So that assassination was also in news. Then in June 2016, 47 people were killed in triple suicide bombing and a gun attack in Istanbul Ataturk airport. So that took place. Here the IS is the one which was blamed, Islamic State, blamed by the Turkish government. Then in July 2016, we had the coup, the failed coup in Turkey. Coup is a military coup that the military officials had gone against the orders of the Turkish government, or rather they had gone against the orders or without the orders of the Turkish government, and there were activities of some military officials and judicial officials, and a suspected coup was what was going ahead, and it failed. The government came down heavily on it. The president, Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, it was seen that post this coup attempt, the failed coup attempt, he came down heavily. There was a heavy crackdown on all government officials involved in this coup, who was suspected to be involved in this coup as well. So many were removed from offices, many jailed. So all such heavy crackdown it was seen. Also this coup is blamed on an Islamic preacher, Fethullah Gulen. Even with India, Turkish government put forth requests and demands that the Fethullah Gulen, it's an organization which is also run by him. This organization majorly is an NGO functioning for education and such welfare purposes. So all such organizations should be closed down is what Turkey was demanding from India as well. And it has come down heavily here too. Fethullah Gulen claims that he is not involved in the coup. But Fethullah Gulen himself was a partner. He was an ally of the Justice and Development Party, APK, the party to which the Turkish president belongs. So in 2002, they had formed a joint government, but then differences emerged and later they parted ways. And presently, it is the Gulen movement. So Gulen movement is the one which they say there is influence, because when they were together in government, the Gulen influence on the people, on officials, in police, in judiciary was seen, and there are followers of Gulen, and it is they whom the president blames presently for the coup, though Fethullah Gulen himself has denied any such attempt made by him. So this is regarding the Gulen movement as well. So you can see over 10,000 education staff has been suspended. Licenses of over 20,000 teachers working at private institutions have been revoked for alleged affiliation to Gulen. This kind of heavy crackdown is presently going on. So this is the failed coup timeline. You can see the two major bridges over Bosphorus in Istanbul are closed. So this caused a major traffic jam. Army units were seen moving across in the city, Istanbul city, which is here in Bosphorus. So looking at Turkey's map too, you can see this is Istanbul, this is Bosphorus, the strait. The strait is a narrow strip of water body separating two land masses. So there is a strait here, Istanbul lies here. So here it was seen army activity. So then after the crackdown, it eventually could not take place. You can see here. Turkish Prime Minister announced that there is unsanctioned military action which is taking place. Turkish Chief of Staff was also taken hostage by the plotters of coup in Ankara. Ankara is the capital. Present capital of Turkey is not Istanbul but Ankara. Ankara is here. Right? Then even the president asked on social media that people should come on the streets protesting against the coup because it is a threat to the government as well and the stability of the country as well. So that demand was also made. Plus then soldiers finally surrendered their weapons and when they were surrounded by the police, and finally the coup attempt failed. So this is regarding the coup, and now regarding the threats, attacks which Turkey has also faced over 2016. So all those have been put forth here because it is a neighbor of Syria as well, and Kurdish rebels are the ones which are blamed for the attacks majorly. Even Islamic State is there, the terrorist organization having its base in Syria, which also undertakes attack on Turkey because Turkey is fighting against it in Syria, in the Syrian civil war. Kurds, you can see, are here in Turkey. They are demanding a separate nation for themselves called Kurdistan, which of course Turkey calls them separatist leaders, terrorists. They are called terrorists by them. Then the next news item, the last one, is leap second syncs Indian time with Earth spin. So leap second was added by USA. In USA to the time, 1 second, extra second was added to 2016 presently. So this extra second to 2017. So this extra second which has been added is to compensate for the Earth's rotation a little slower than the time which is maintained by the atomic clock. So presently atomic clocks are used to maintain time. So Earth's spin, the time taken for that is called UT1. So that is the astronomical time. And the time maintained by the atomic clock, the standard time which is maintained, that is called UTC, Coordinated Universal Time. This atomic time, UTC time, has to be synced with astronomical time. So for that, whenever the difference increases more than 0.9 seconds, so at that point of time, 1 second, 1 leap second is added. So that has taken place presently too, as it was done in June 2016 as well. That in June 2016, 1 extra second was added. Sorry, June 2015, 1 extra second was added. So these steps are taken. So here, why is this exact timing maintenance important? Because in day-to-day life, 1 extra second may not be of much significance, but in cases of satellites, communication, navigation, in all those aspects, in astronomy, it is very important to have precise timing. So astronomical time and atomic time which is maintained has to be synced. So for that purpose, this leap second has been added to 2017, and presently on 2nd Jan, this news is that India has also undertaken this. It has synchronized the atomic clock which is maintained by India too in National Physical Laboratory. So this here atomic clocks have also been synced and 1 leap second has been added. So this is under CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, that this clock is maintained. So there are various atomic clocks all across the globe. So India has also done this syncing. This is shown here. This is regarding the leap second. So since 1972, 25 leap seconds have been added. So this is the UCT, Coordinated Universal Time, and the astronomical time. Both have to be synced. So that is it for 2nd Jan. Thank you.